Hi, everybody. Welcome again to English Digest. I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
And as we reach the end of July, of course, we're thinking of ways to better enjoy our summer. You better hurry up because school's going to start in less than a couple of weeks here. Sometime in August there. But in any case here, yes, make the best of your summer. But you are getting sick and tired of going to the beach and climbing in the mountains and being outside. You want to go inside and play board games with your friends. But, of course, if you're up for a challenge and you want to rack your brains a bit to try to beat your opponent, you might consider the noble game of Go. Now, last time we did talk a little bit about the history of Go. My goodness, it's an ancient game. It used to be called Yi, and it supposedly was invented by the Emperor Yao for his son, who was maybe in need of some discipline and some concentration. And the game grew from then, spread to Japan, and now everybody in the world knows about it.
Wow. Yeah, I was introduced to it a long time ago. I never learned how to play it, but I always appreciated the skill involved. Yeah, it's kind of a cool game that has that, Asian flair, which is kind of very popular too. We're calling it a noble game because originally, really just the nobility, the people that were royalty or the highest social classes, they played it, and also the scholars. And they were just, a higher social class than most regular, everyday people, kind of like the farmers out in the field. They were just busy trying to produce enough food not to starve to death. So we're going to talk about the noble game of Go, some of the rules. And if you don't know much about it, stay tuned. You're going to learn a little bit more today.
The rules of Go are simple, but this allows for complex gameplay. Starting with black, each player takes turns placing a single stone at the intersection of two lines. In one version, points are scored when a player surrounds an empty intersection with their own stones. However, if a player's pieces are surrounded by those of their opponent, they are captured and removed from the board. A game ends when neither player wishes to move, a draw, or one surrenders. In some versions, the final scores are determined by counting up surrounded intersections only, while in others, the stones a player has on the board are added as well. Go's influence can be found in Chinese and Japanese culture from ancient times until today. In ancient China, the game was considered one of the four pursuits of a gentleman scholar, along with calligraphy, painting, and playing the guqin, a stringed musical instrument. The game is referenced in novels such as The Tale of Genji, a classic of Japanese literature. In recent times, Go's popularity has been boosted in Japan by the manga Hikaru no Go. The story concerns a boy possessed by the spirit of a famous Go player. The game also made news headlines in March 2016 when AlphaGo, an artificial intelligence program, beat a human Go champion in a 5-game series. This was hailed as a breakthrough in computer programming. AlphaGo studied old games and played itself millions of times, learning from its mistakes and becoming a Go master. AlphaGo was able to increase its intelligence, just as playing Go with friends helps us develop our minds, exactly what Emperor Yao had intended.
Okay, guys, let's get started. We're talking about the noble game of Go. So the rules of Go are pretty simple, but this allows for complex gameplay. I was telling Tom before we started, I had never seen this word gameplay, but it's related to video games, so it's kind of a new term. It came into being in the late 80s. It just means your experience, the player's experience, in how they feel when they're playing, kind of the plot, if there's a plot. And there's usually a plot to these video games, and the way it's played, that's gameplay. And complex is kind of complicated. It's not simple. We've already talked about how it's a lot more difficult to play Go than it is, say, checkers or even simple chess.
Yeah, and complex here can be pronounced different ways.
Yeah.
Complex, etc. Those are all acceptable. So, of course, it has complicated gameplay, complex gameplay. And starting with black, each player takes turns placing a single stone at the intersection of two lines. So in Go, or Weiqi, or Wuziqi, black always goes first. But if you're playing Western chess, it's the white piece that always goes first.
Oh really? I didn't know this. You're teaching me something.
Okay. But in any case, yes, so this is how a game of Weiqi begins. The black piece moves first, and then, of course, you take turns. And, of course, you don't put these stones inside the little boxes. You put them at the intersection of two lines. Okay, so you all know that rule there. And in one version, points are scored when a player surrounds an empty intersection with their own stones. Now, I was not aware that there are different versions of the game or different ways to play Go.
Well, I read something where it said if fewer lines, it's 19 by 19 usually.
Okay.
But for more simple versions, there aren't as many lines.
Okay.
So it's a little simpler. Yeah.
Okay, but in this particular case, at least what I learned is that you basically try to encircle your opponent. So that's the only version I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, there are more than one version.
You're kind of capturing territory.
Right. So I guess in this particular case, you capture territory that is empty. That is one version. So points are scored when you surround an empty intersection with your own stones. So that's a way to get points, and you have to be totally around something. So that's the verb to surround. We could say that Taiwan is surrounded by water because it is an island. Or the enemy was surrounded. I guess it was the French who were surrounded by the Vietnamese at Dien Bien Phu, so they had to surrender.
Or my parents' home, where I grew up, is surrounded by a big fence. So there's a fence that goes around the front and then around the back. And we have a dog, and the dog can't get out because there's a fence surrounding the property, especially the backyard. So yeah, you can surround an empty intersection with their own stones. That's a way to score. However, if a player's pieces, those are the stones, are surrounded by those of their opponent, the person you're playing is your opponent, they are captured. And we have quotation marks around the word captured is because it's not real. You're not really capturing, your opponent's pieces. It's just kind of what it's called, capturing. And then it's removed from the board. That's another way to score. So to capture something usually means to catch something and hold it so it can't go away anywhere. Maybe you put it in a cage, or maybe you go hunting and you capture a bunny rabbit, in a trap. Oh, poor bunny. Don't do that. But you can also capture things more figuratively. If you want to capture a scene, you might paint it. Or you might take a picture with your camera. That's capturing something, so you can always look at it forever. And if you remove it, you take something away. So you capture and then remove that thing from the board.
And that probably gives you points or something like that. And a game ends when neither player wishes to move, which is a draw. They cannot move forward. I guess there are no more spaces left on the board or something like that.
It's like a tie, a draw, a tie. It's a similar term, right?
I guess that means it's a tie. Yes, no one has won there. I guess that's possible. Or one surrenders, which means, I give up. You beat me. I can't do anything else. There are no more moves that I can make.
Never surrender.
Win.
Never.
Yes, surrender. So, of course, after the Americans bombed Japan with the nuclear bombs, Japan surrendered.
Finally.
They gave up and the war was over. But in this particular case, yes, that's one way the game of Go can end with a surrender. Surrender can be both a verb and a noun. So that's one particular version here. And in some versions, the final scores are determined by counting up surrounded intersections only while in others, the stones a player has on the board are added as well. So there are different versions here, and you have to determine the final score. To determine just means to figure something out, to basically get all your information and then come to a conclusion. So basically, you add up the score, you determine the score, you find the score.
Figure it out.
Calculate the score, you could say. You just count up those surrounded intersections only, and that will determine the winner. Or in other versions, the stones a player has on the board are added to that score as well.
Oh, there are definitely different versions that you can play then. You just have to decide with your opponent before you start which version you're wanting to play. Sounds interesting. I would stick with one version just for more simplicity. I know. So moving on to the next paragraph. Go's influence can be found in Chinese and Japanese culture from ancient times until today. In day one of our unit here on the noble game of Go, we found out that it started in China and then moved over to Japan. And then it was Japan that introduced Go to the Western world. I think at that time, Japan was having, more relationships and more interaction with Western countries. China was closed. So we didn't hear about Go from China, but they're the original inventors, of course. So we know that Go is not only in Japanese culture, it's in Chinese as well, and it's been around forever. We're going to continue talking about Go, guys, but first, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. 我们今天要继续来看第16单元。我们来谈围棋。围棋的英文就是 Go。当然我们知道，围棋呢并不是那么的容易，它里面有很复杂的策略技巧。那这边我们就说到了它的 rules， 这个他谈到 allows for complex gameplay. Allow for， 我们本来 allow 是允许，但是当你用 allow 后面再加 for， 再加一个名词，就是顾及、考虑到以下的情况，顾虑到什么样的情况，或者是为什么留余地。好，那我们意思就是说，他说简单，可是其实不是那么简单，他要考虑到后面有很复杂的技巧策略。好，提到它游戏这个围棋的进行，它里面呢，当然怎么样叫做赢，他们有他们的规则。比如说，他这边就说到各家可能有一种方式是这样子的算法，另一种方式又是另外一个算法。那像说，如果你持白子，而对方是黑子，那你的白子被其他的黑子围在一起，当然就表示你这一颗也就是必须被拿掉，你就输掉了，这一个部分的棋子被移除了。好，那我们看到这边解释的过程里面，句构上要特别留意 If a player's pieces are surrounded by those of their opponent， 看到 those of their opponent， 我们知道在英文里面有一种词类叫做只是代名词 that 跟 those， 一个是单数，一个是复数，它代替的就是指前面提过的相对位置上的那个名词。记得是指那个名词，而不是那个东西本身。所以说我们说到 a player's pieces， 好，前面提到了 pieces， 后面提到 those of their opponent， 对手的 pieces， 也就是这个 those 其实是复数形，指的就是那些棋子。提到这些规则游戏之后，我们知道它的玩法，当然玩过的人看这个讲解一定没有问题。这边有提到了一点，就是那什么时候这个游戏算是结束了，这一局算是结束了呢？就是 when neither player wishes to move， 这是平手，意思就是两方 A 或 B持黑子的、持白子的都动也没办法动了，这就是一个平局。或者是说另外有一边就投降了，这样就表示这个局已经结束，终止。那 neither 我们知道这个其实是一个代名词，但是在这里 neither 就是双方两者都没有。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue with our lesson. Of course, we all know that Go, or Weiqi, is pretty popular in Chinese and Japanese culture, especially among the nobility. That's why if you see ancient paintings from hundreds of years ago, there are often depictions of people playing Go or Weiqi.
It's kind of cool.
Kind of cool indeed. Yeah. So in ancient China, the game was considered one of the 4 pursuits of a gentleman scholar, along with calligraphy, painting, and playing the guqin, a stringed musical instrument. So a pursuit, of course, is kind of like a hobby. It's something that you do. It's something that you train yourself in. You might have various personal pursuits, like maybe if you like photography, that's a personal pursuit. Or if you like yoga, that's a personal pursuit. Or you like ballet dancing or something. Those can all be different kinds of pursuits.
What's your personal favorite? Yeah, what do you do in your free time?
Gee, I don't know. But in any case here, in ancient China, they had these 4 pursuits if you were a scholar or a gentleman scholar, 琴棋书画, as you say in Chinese. So calligraphy is, writing the characters in a fancy way.
Beautiful writing.
Painting, of course, is painting pictures. That's hua. And then playing the guqin, which is similar to the guzheng, at least to me, but this one has only 7 strings. And it's a lot slower, and it's more of a acquired taste. People don't tend to turn on the radio to try and find a guqin station. It just doesn't really happen.
Maybe in Asia.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I have heard it from time to time on the radio. I personally really like the guqin. It's quite relaxing. But yes, these are the 4 pursuits of a scholar, including playing Weiqi or Go.
You know, it's interesting because in the Western world, only the very wealthy were educated scholars as well. And you would learn things that most normal people had no time to learn. They would be well-versed in history. They could debate. They knew about art, things like that. Whereas most people were too busy out trying to grow some wheat and corn and raise their cows and chickens. So you were pretty lucky to be born into the higher social class, and you could spend your time writing beautiful things and painting and playing these musical instruments. Now, the game is referenced in novels such as The Tale of Genji. It's a classic piece of Japanese literature. I'm not into Japanese literature, so I apologize. I don't know this particular piece of literature. If something's referenced in another thing, it just means it's mentioned or it shows up. So you might be reading this piece of literature and they might start talking about the game of Go suddenly. And there it is. They've referenced it or they've mentioned it.
Okay, and in recent times, instead of ancient times, Go's popularity has been boosted in Japan by the manga Hikaru no Go. Manga, or manga, as it's often pronounced in Western countries, of course, means manhwa, the Japanese pronunciation of manhwa, manga. And, of course, if something is boosted, that means it's increased. So, of course, Go has gotten more popular because of this comic book series, Hikaru no Go. I don't know what Hikaru means, but I assume it has something to do with the game of Go. Now, the story in this manga comic book series concerns a boy possessed by the spirit of a famous Go player.
Cool.
So it's a boy, and he has this spirit. He's possessed by that spirit. Of course, if some kind of dead spirit, the soul of a dead person, comes into your body and kind of controls you, you could say you're possessed. Sometimes in the Catholic Church, people are possessed by the devil, and they need to get an exorcist to come and get rid of that devil. But in this particular case, the boy is possessed by the spirit of a Go player. I guess that probably means he's pretty good at the game.
Yeah, usually, if you're possessed by a spirit, it's an evil spirit. But this sounds like he ends up being able to have some great skills because it's the spirit of a famous Go player. Now, the game also made news headlines in March 2016 when AlphaGo, it's an artificial intelligence program or AI program, which means it's a computer program, it beat a human being. So it beat a human Go champion in a 5-game series. So we had several, gosh, it's been a while. Years ago, there was a famous chess player from Russia, and he played a computer, remember?
Yeah.
And the computer beat him. So this is the same sort of idea. This time, though, it's AlphaGo that's playing against a human who's quite good. This human is a Go champion, but the AI program beat him. So AlphaGo was able to beat a real person who was thinking and living and breathing, whereas the AI program is just computerized.
Oh, no, the computers are taking over. My goodness.
Wow.
Well, this was hailed as a breakthrough in computer programming. So hail here just means to recognize with a lot of cheer and with a lot of fanfare.
Praised, is praised as. Yeah.
Right, and of course, the breakthrough, of course, is 大突破 in Chinese. And AlphaGo studied old games and played itself millions of times, learning from its mistakes and becoming a Go master. So, of course, if a computer has, a fast processing chip or something...
That doesn't seem fair, does it?
No, it doesn't. So it played itself lots and lots of times over and over, trying to figure out how the game is played.
Wow.
It made mistakes, but it learned from those mistakes, and later it became a Go master. So maybe in the future, you'll see computers actually playing against each other in Go, and people will just be sitting back and watching.
That seems a little boring just to watch a computer.
What are we going to do when the computers take over and do everything?
I know, but it's not fair. While we're sleeping, they continue to, learn things and correct their mistakes. It used to be that we'd have to program those computers to do what we wanted them to do. Now they can actually learn on their own. It's kind of creepy. So AlphaGo was able to increase its intelligence. Yeah, just by playing itself and fixing things that it had done wrong in earlier games. Just as playing Go with friends, real people, two friends playing each other, helps us develop our minds. Remember, that's what Emperor Yao invented the game for. He wanted to help his young son learn discipline and concentration and focus. So still playing Go with a real person and not a computer can help you develop your mind as well. Maybe you're not very good at concentrating, and I understand from science research that because kids are spending so much time on their phones and playing video games, their attention span is very short. So we need to encourage everybody to focus for a longer period of time and to concentrate. So this might be what we all need. We all need to start playing Go with real people.
I'm sure there are apps on your smartphone for the game of Go you can play. In fact, you can probably go online and play against people. Indeed, it's probably very possible, and people probably prefer that. But, I'm going back to the game of 五子棋 again. It's kind of always nice to just turn all those devices off and sit down with somebody and have some nice oolong tea and play the game of 五子棋 or 围棋, who knows, and have a pleasant afternoon and leave those phones off. Of course, that's one of the things I did when I first came to Taiwan. It was kind of traditional to do that, but that, of course, is before the days of smartphones when those things did not control our lives so much.
I wish they didn't control our lives so much. So give yourself a goal, maybe to put down your phone for a day or two and see what happens. So right now, though, we're going to listen one more time to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back to wrap up this particular unit.
好，我们继续来看，提到围棋呢，在中国也好，在日本也好，在两者这个文化里面，都可以发现有受到围棋的影响哦。好，在以前呢，我们知道我们中文里说的棋琴书画，好，棋琴书画这四种消遣之一，第一个就是围棋咯。好，那其他的三个 calligraphy 是指书法 ，painting 是画画，还有呢。古琴，好，这棋琴书画这四大的消遣，在日本呢，其实日本有一个文学的经典作品叫做《源氏物语》。《源氏物语》这本书里面也有提到围棋哦。这边看到一个动词 reference， 我们知道 reference 通常比较像是一个名词的用法，也就是参考。不过如果你当动词来用的话，它的意思就等于 refer to。 好，其实 refer to 我们比较常用，说这是指什么，但是 reference 这个字就是一个及物动词，那常常会用被动的语态。当你说 the game is referenced， 就是表示这个游戏它有被提到、被指出来。好，接下来我们看最近呢，围棋其实在日本非常的受欢迎，有另外一个原因，就是有一本漫画叫做麒麟王。这个麒麟王的故事，它就是有关一个很有名的棋手，他附身在一个男孩子的身上。好，那说到这个故事是有关于什么，用到一个动词 concern。The story concerns a boy possessed by the spirit。 注意到了吗？ concern 它其实在这个地方的解释就相当于 involve。 当你说 A involves something， A concerns something， 但是 a boy 后面的 possessed 也要注意，它就是用来修饰前面的 boy。A boy who was possessed by。 好了，我们再来看最后这一段，提到了围棋，看到它现在在日本还是一样非常的受到重视。之前有一个新闻在谈的就是也跟围棋有关哦，但是这次可是跟电脑有关，人工智慧程式 AlphaGo。AlphaGo 是人工智慧程式，它竟然可以击败了人类的棋王。这个新闻也许您还有印象，下一次到底谁能真的成为围棋大师呢？这又大家继续研究下去了。我们今天节目就到这边结束，下次见。
Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully you learned some terms about the game of Go or Weiqi that you can use when you have conversations in English with other people who don't know so much about this game. Tell them all about it, and maybe your new friends and you can sit down for a game of Weiqi and spend the afternoon that way. Okay,
Sounds
that brings
fun.
us. It does sound fun.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us. Please join us again next time. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie. See
Bye.
ya.